A day on the firing range, a weekend routine of camaraderie and competition.
I thought you had more bullets than that.
In this case, it's mother and son bonding over bullets.
Oh, if I didn't have that, I'd be crushed. That's my little boy. I want to spend time with him.
It's a social event at the gun club for Donald and Tracy, two of the 2 million or so Canadians the government licenses as legal gun owners. But how many guns and gun owners there are in Canada is a matter of debate. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police say 1.96 million people hold legal firearms licenses and put the gun total nationwide at just under 10 million, with each Canadian gun owner averaging more than 4 firearms each. Donald has a dozen.
It's a passion. Those of us that are in it are passionate about it.
But Canada's leading gun rights lobbying organization scoffs at those numbers, saying there could be twice that many guns here, maybe more.
There are tens of millions of firearms in Canada that will never be registered, that will never be in the hands of individuals with firearms licenses.
An expensive federal effort to register all long guns in the country, rifles and shotguns, was abandoned 2 years ago. The eventual cost, more than $1 billion, 500 times the $2 million government originally predicted. CGI, the company hired to develop and run that system, was the same firm that handled the healthcare.gov website rollout in the U.S. Rolling back the registry was a victory for Canadian gun rights advocates, a defeat for gun control groups.
We have no way to trace long guns and unrestricted firearms in Canada now, and all of the data we already had on those weapons has been destroyed outside of Quebec, and that's very disturbing to me.
Guns fall into 3 classes. Non-restricted, the long guns for hunting and sport shooting. Restricted, handguns and semi-automatic weapons. And prohibited, the short-barreled handguns and fully automatic guns.
These 3 here are all prohibited, and the rest of them are all simply restricted. A special license required. Cannot get that license anymore. You had to own these guns when the law was passed.
The types of guns used in some of Canada's worst mass shootings, in Montreal 25 years ago and more recently in 2006, are still legal to own. Light semi-automatic rifles, popular among target shooters and hunters. If you want to own a gun in Canada, you will first have to go through a training course in safety, about 12 hours worth. But at no point will you actually load and fire an operating gun. For safety, dummy ammunition is used and the guns won't shoot. Albert Wood has taught firearm safety courses for 40 years. They include written and practical tests, with licenses then issued federally. Licenses to carry concealed weapons are almost never issued.
This is Canada, sir. We are not permitted. We have authorization to transport handguns, but strictly from your home to the range.
Then the law requires trigger locks and an opaque container placed out of sight in a vehicle. There's a separate license just for transportation, and you need a license to buy ammunition. Gun homicide totals here have remained fairly stable for the last 15 years, at about 178 a year as population grows. By comparison, the annual U.S. gun homicide average is about 11,500, nearly 8 times the Canadian rate based on population. Meanwhile, back on this range, shooting is just a normal weekend getaway.
So that's what the firearm sport is to me, is about family.
In the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, guns are never mentioned, leading some to call gun ownership here an earned privilege, not a specifically guaranteed right.